Cool.
Yeah. So, what have you got for me here? So what did you give me?
Ooh, kombucha. Healthy kombucha. This is one of my favorites.
Opening it right on the podcast. Yeah, this is yummy. Ooh, it blew up on me.
That's what it is. It's live.
Mm.
It's probiotic. Helps control your gut bacteria, Brian.
Cool. I'll eat that. Mm-hmm.
Hi.
You know, I made it before. I made kombucha.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting.
It's like a human lung growing.
Yeah, for sure. So you and I went to DC Everest together.
That's right.
Yeah. And what year did you graduate?
Class of 97.
97. Mm-hmm. So we graduated at the same time?
Stop it.
We were in the same class.
No, we're not.
I was 97.
Brian! Oh my gosh.
Easy.
I get so excited. I'm breaking the cameras. Why don't we know this?
I can't believe we didn't know
I am kind of blown away.
We didn't really talk about schools.
No,
we haven't. And I was reading through, I read through Pat's story before I came just to kind of put some things in my head so I knew what to ask about. And I was like, oh, she went to DC Everest. So did I. Yeah.
Yep. Well, maybe I have a different last name. And
oh, yeah. What was your last name? And
Buckmaster.
That sounds familiar.
Jessica Buckmaster.
Oh, yeah. That sounds familiar.
I have an older brother, Jason.
Yeah. Jason.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was class of 95, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so he would have been old enough to stuff me in a locker.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
I don't know. He stuffed a few people in lockers back in the day. He was a good big brother to have. Yeah, but I bailed 3 days after graduation. I mean,
3 days you were gone.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was, I think, halfway to Minnesota already on the third day. So
wow.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, I first moved to Minnesota, and I went to a community college there for a little while, and then I transferred from Minnesota to the University of Montana to Missoula.
Wow.
Go Grizz!
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Then what? So how you ended up in Montana? How did that happen?
Oh man, well, it's so interesting. I always said I was born in the wrong place, and I really still kind of feel I was born in the wrong place. But I've always felt that way. I really love the mountains. Like in the mountains, you can go in the mountains, around the mountains, through the mountains. You can really explore. Right. You know, the woods are great. The lakes are great here. And don't get me wrong, I love Wisconsin. I love the Northwoods. This is my soul. You know, I was born and raised here. But yeah, the mountains were always really intriguing. So I wanted to move out west. I didn't really know where I wanted to move out to. So I just kind of did a big road trip, and I toured schools in Colorado, and I toured schools in Montana. Of course, my heart and soul was in Boulder, but academically, they didn't accept my transfer program. So I chose Missoula because let's face it, school's tough. So I didn't want to lose any credits. I don't want to have to make do some, up some of the things I already did. So so I chose Missoula, and that was great. And then and after school in 1999, I moved to Hawaii, moved to Maui.
Sounds rough.
It was, yeah. It was really rough.
How did you choose Maui?
Well, honestly, this is kind of how it went. I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to work on a boat, and I knew I needed to sail, and I knew I wanted to live on the beach. I mean, the mountains are pretty harsh, and let's be clear, Wisconsin winters are horrible, can be. And so I just wanted to experience what island life was. And at the time, I didn't even know that Maui was it for me. I truly, this is how it would happen. I went to the library. I rented out every book possible that they had for beach destinations, from beach destination weddings to just travel. And my dad had I was talking to my dad, and he said, begged me to basically stay in the United States because I was looking to go elsewhere. So and at that time I ended up going to a bar with downtown Missoula with a friend, and some women bartending overheard me saying that I wanted to move to the beach, and I was just wanting to jump on a boat. And she came over to me and said, I just moved back from Maui. I lived in a city called Lahaina. I was there for 4 years. I think you'll love it. And right then and there, I wrote Lahaina on a bar napkin. I didn't even know how to spell it. And the next day I bought a one-way ticket. So I didn't know a single soul. I went there, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and basically walked the docks until somebody gave me a job and begged to work for free until I could prove that it was worthy of making some wages.
Huh.
So that's kind of how my boating career started.
And is that when you went into the Merchant Marines?
Yeah, right.
And this is the precursor. Explain this to me, because this is like the precursor to going in the Coast Guard. Is that how that works?
So I'm a U.S. Merchant Marine officer. So I have my 100-ton captain's license. I started with my 50-ton, and then I upgraded with my sailing endorsement and my towing endorsement. So you need 768 hour days logged of sea time before you can even go through the course. Most people go through it within a couple of years. It took me almost 4 years because, working out at sea, it's hard. You want to feel like I wanted to feel like a woman. I wanted to smell like a woman. I wanted to save my skin. Especially working, on a sailboat, you don't have like some of the awnings and coverage like you would, like of a galley and on a catamaran. I was on a monohull, and so you could position your sail for some shade, but that was it. So anyway,
how did you even come across that whole thing? Like, so you're in Maui.
Oh boy!
You see a boat and you're like, I got to do that. How does that work?
Yeah, well, this is the story. If anybody's ever been to Maui, they know the fleet called Trilogy. They are there's 6 catamarans, and at that time nobody would give me a job because I didn't have any experience. And so
you were trying to get a job on a boat.
Yeah, I was trying to get a job on a boat. Yep. And so Chris, gentleman who ran the whole operation, I told him I'd work for free until he thought I was worthy of making a wage, and he handed me a line because there is no rope on a boat. There's only lines. He handed me a line, and he showed me one time how to do a bowline knot. And he said, listen, I'm going to show you once, and if you can do this again, I'll offer you a paying job. And so I paid attention, and I did it. And so I next day started.
What kind of knot was it?
It was a bowline knot.
A bowline knot.
Yeah.
Is that a really complicated one?
No, it's actually one of the easiest ones because under pressure, you can release it fairly quickly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you ever rock climbed? You seem like you might have rock climbed.
Believe it or not, I'm kind of scared of heights, so no.
I'm terrified of heights. And that's why I forced myself to rock climb for a while. Yeah.
Brave.
But I bring it up because there's a certain knot that you do to attach yourself to the belay device. If you're not like in an auto belay, but you're actually going on top rope with someone belaying you. And it's pretty, it took me a few times to learn it.
Yeah.
But once I got it, like I went back, I was gone almost a year or two, and I was like, oh man, do I remember this? And then, there it's back. I was worried for a second. So there was a delay. Yeah, so I'd been gone like a couple of years, and then all of a sudden I was like, do I remember how to do this? But as soon as I started, that muscle memory was there, and I was able to retie it.
Okay. Yeah.
That boy, you don't want to get that knot wrong.
No.
That's what's attaching you to the rope. So there's
Yes.
like a whole thing where you like tug on it to make sure it's you're not gonna go flying off. Yeah.
You're brave. Well, we have to go up in a Bozeman chair up our mast, and my mast was 90 feet, so it was pretty intimidating.
So you're brave.
Well. If I have to be, but in fact, I would actually probably pay anybody in the harbor any dollar amount to go up there for me. So
that was your first job. You were going up in this mast.
No, but you have to as a captain. You have to inspect your halyard. You have to inspect your rigging, and you have to go up. You have to look at everything.
So then what? So then tell me more. You're good.
Okay.
So this guy gives you a job. He gives you a chance.
So I worked on Trilogy for Kali for quite a while. I had such an epic experience there because all the humpback whales migrate from Alaska. We get over 10,000 humpbacks that hang out in the A'a Channel, and so it's kind of just whale soup straight out of National Geographic. And I just learned so much, and And then I decided I wanted to travel. So then I bought, I guess I just started traveling. I went to Southeast Asia, and I went to, Japan and Taiwan and Taipei, and all through Indonesia and Malaysia and Thailand. And I just kept going, which was really fun. And then went back to Hawaii after a couple of months of doing that. And I didn't have a job, and I had nowhere to live. In fact, I had to hitchhike from the airport to my friend Misty's place. And luckily she gave me her couch to stay. And next day I went to the beach to surf, and my good friend pulled up on he was running an operation called Zipper, which was a catamaran boat. And he said, "Hey Jess, welcome back, you're back." And I said, "What are you doing? I need a job." And he said, "Come on aboard." And so next thing you know, I had a job on his boat, and I was their dive guide. We did the helmet dives where I'd take people down about 30 feet. And everybody would hold on to, like, we called it the bus. And I had an intercom so I could speak to everybody. And at first I knew nothing. I literally would kind of make things up a little bit about the reef. I mean, I didn't know about the fish and all the different reefs. And people,
there's a yellow tuna snapper. It's
my gosh. I would be like, "There's a humu, appa. And everybody'd be like, "Whoa." But honestly, I would carry a fish chart with a rubber band around my wrist, and day after day, I started to identify fish because of that fish chart. And I learned a whole heck of a lot. And so in the beginning, I knew nothing, but in the end, I was, to this day, I can tell you any coral reef fish, any.
So rock climbing is scary as heck, but diving 30 feet down into the water, no problem. You're cool with that.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Yeah. It is weird. And you lose all sense of direction. Yeah. A little bit too when you're down below.
You sound like you're pretty comfortable with the water in general. Did you start off that way? Like,
yeah.
First day on that boat where you're I'm cool with this. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Which is, I think back, I was in some situations, so I should have been more fearful. I think today, I'm glad that those situations didn't happen today, because I think I probably, in some scenarios, probably would have never sailed again. I mean, I had some kind of crazy stories out to sea.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Okay, now we're getting juicy. All right, well, I ran Scotch Mist Sailing Charters. It's a 50-foot Santa Cruz 50 monohull. Super light, ultralight racing boat, a downwind cruiser. It raced over from British Columbia in the Maui Vic race and won. It was
and this is like a sailboat.
Yeah, super fast sailboat. Really ultralight.
And was that always were you attracted to that versus like a motor type?
Absolutely.
Type boat? You like that?
Yeah, because there's 12 points of sail, and so sailing just really gets you out of yourself. I mean, all day long, you're just trying to work the wind lines. Yeah, it's just so beautiful.
Did you learn any of that here?
Nothing.
No, so you learned it all.
Yeah,
as an adult.
Everything. The first time in Maui, I'll never forget, I borrowed a friend's sunfish boat, and I took my friend's dog out, and that poor dog, we were stuck out there for about 5 hours trying to tack back in, trying to figure it out. But we did it, and yeah. When you
just went out with no, you're like, I'll figure it out.
Pretty much.
Wow, that's impressive. And you're surfing, you're doing this, no fear there. You're like,
there's fear. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a good surfer. Like, I'm not like, you go to Hawaii and you go to Ho'okipa and you go to, even North Shore Pipeline. I mean, those are, wow, they're amazing. I'm more of like a summer swell kind of girl, where summer swells are really light and easy and soft and friendly and not fast moving. And you can bring your longboard and, you could paddle out with your dog and catch a wave. That sounds
more my speed.
Way cool. Yeah, that's more my speed. But yeah, there's an element of, respect you have to have for the ocean. And
definitely.
I mean, it's,
any body of water, really.
It's crazy.
Yeah, whenever I'm out on the water, I wouldn't say I'm fearful of it, but I have a healthy respect for it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really humbling, especially when you're out to sea for days and days on end, and you don't see land. And I mean, you really are humbled.
Yeah, and this is going to sound hippy dippy, but don't you feel like different bodies of water have different like energy or different characteristics or personalities? Like, you know, when I got into kayaking, I noticed that if I kayaked on the Wisconsin River, it felt older, more ancient.
Yeah. All bodies of water carry a living, moving energy. And that's neat that you can tap into that and feel that. Absolutely. Some waters are really scary. Like in Hawaii, there's the windward side of the island and then the leeward side of the island. So the windward is, you know, always the aggressive, the scarier, you know, part. And back to my story, she got me off track. I was sailing, and it's interesting because my good friend Mikey, he was a fisherman. He worked on Start Me Out Fishing, which was like a 60-foot Bertram boat, and he wanted to sail. And so I told him every trip in between his charters, if he wasn't going out, to come on aboard, and I'll teach him everything I know. And so anyway, we had a whole summer of sailing together. He was doing such a phenomenal job, and because my boat is such an ultralight racing boat, I say my boat because it felt like my boat. I own the boat. You take ownership. Right? You really do. I mean, you really, truly do. But it's because it's so ultralight that I have to be really careful. I'm Coast Guard certified to carry 25 passengers on board. So I had to be really careful with who, if I had a full boat and if they were elderly or if they were kids, because you could lay that boat down really easy. You can bury the rail, and you could really give people a really crazy ride, and not everybody, is up for that. So anyway, long story short, the trade winds were just pumping that day. And in Hawaii, when they pump that strong, trade winds always blow north, clockwise. And so when they pump, they'll wrap around the island and they'll kind of shoot through the valleys. And we call them knockdown gusts. In essence, they're like gale force winds out of nowhere. And we had a boat full of people. We were kind of sailing in a triangle. It was really swirly wind. And my friend Mikey was at the helm. I was actually up on the bow of the boat with some passengers. And next thing you know, we were shooting through Olu Olu Valley, and a gust had come through, and I knew better because I missed it. I knew to look to make sure, and I missed it. I was talking to some passengers, and next thing you know, that gust hit us, and it was pretty bad. I mean, it knocked our boat right over. We had a gentleman who actually skidded all the way across. And it's non-skid. It's like sandpaper, and he was hanging on the stanchion, actually dragging a little bit in the water. The stanchion is the lifeline, basically, around the sailboat. And he was hanging. That's what it's there for, right? Right. But you don't want your passenger hanging from it. Oh my gosh, trolling. Yeah, no. And I'm screaming at, to Mikey at the helm, I'm saying, sheet out. And he ended up letting go of the sheet line. And so now not only, it was just a recipe for disaster. It was really scary. Yeah. And needless to say, both the wind edge blew out my mainsail, thank God, and blew, which righted our boat some. And I was able to, drop the main and get to all the action and save the day. But
what do you feel like in that moment?
Horrible. Doing the walk of shame back into the harbor, refunding everybody's money, apologizing. I mean, it was horrible. I felt so responsible, and I learned a ton, and that's what you have to do with these situations, right?
Right.
Take the bad for good and spin it as a lesson, and get back on that horse. So
I bet you never forgot to check that
oh, no. Again. Yeah. No. And in fact, I never would leave the helm on those days. I mean, I trained, taught a lot of, I shouldn't say trained, but taught a lot of people how to sail. And I would never leave the helm. I in some respect, I trusted Mikey. It was partly his fault. I trusted his ability too, a little bit more than I should. So, yeah.
Well, what, how did you end up coming back here?
Okay.
Don't let me forget.
Well, from Hawaii, I went to Colorado.
And don't let me forget, I want to talk about Japan and Thailand too, but we'll get to that because we've both been there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
cool.
we'll come back to that. Yeah.
So we went, I went to Colorado next from Hawaii. So I left Hawaii because my sister-in-law got deployed to Kuwait, and I came back for 1 month to help with the kids and help my brother with that whole transition of her leaving. And then when I was here, I fell in love, which he changed it all. He ruined everything in a good way. So he came out to Hawaii for a little while, and I came back here for a little bit. We tried to figure it out, and then he said, basically, if you don't want to live on the beach, pick a mountain. I went back to that because I love the mountains. So I was fine with not living in Hawaii anymore. And
he didn't want to live in a beach?
It's not that. He has 2 boys, and so it was difficult to just relocate right then and there. So it was much easier for me to relocate to the mainland. And then, we decided to move out west. He used to live in Colorado, and my heart still was in Boulder, but we didn't move to Boulder. We ended up moving up to Summit County, which is up by Breckenridge, Keystone. And so we lived there for 10 years. Moved there in 2010, and then just moved here.
What'd you do in Colorado?
I, for 7 years, kept my foot in the door at Keystone for my pass. My husband and I both would get our season pass. And so I did that. 1 day a month, I'd work at a little restaurant. And what a great gig, because you get buddy passes, you get, your friends and family can come, you can put them up in, any Vail resorts for dirt cheap. So it paid off. So I did that. And then 2 years after moving there, I opened up 2 little thrift shops called Goldmine Thrift. I love to recycle, reuse. I'm a picker.
Yeah, me too.
Right. You've told me that. Yeah.
We talked about this.
I love that. Yeah, we should go picking.
You should.
We should. You and I.
Yeah.
I have an eye.
You have an eye.
Well, the problem is, though, everything that I find I want to keep.
Oh.
Do you have that? Yeah.
Well, I need, I need help with decoration, because I'm not. I've had friends, like, I'll see them buy something. Like, we go thrift storing together, and they would buy something, and they'd be like, "What are you gonna do with that?"
Yeah.
The thing looks ridiculous. And then I see it, and then she takes it back to her house. And I'm like, oh, see, I never would have. I can't. That's one thing I can't do. I can't see a thing and be like, oh, I can see how that can be a decoration.
Oh, really?
No,
okay.
I'm known for like having really sparse living quarters.
Okay.
Yeah, like I've had girlfriends come over and they're like, I know you've never had a woman live here. I'm like, yeah, because it looks.
Oh no.
I'd have like blank walls, and I'd be like, oh no, it looks fine.
Oh.
They're not like super blank. Now I have some things up, but.
Well, we have to come and help you. Yeah, absolutely. I'm good at. Would it surprise you that every single thing in this shop was recycled, pretty much, and reused? I mean, not everything, but I would say 90% of it.
Well, I don't know if it would surprise me, but it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, for listeners at home, we are in Jessica's shop.
That's right.
Roots, and we're going to get to how we got there. We're pretty close to it.
Okay.
We got her in Colorado, so she's going to be coming back soon, and then we'll explain how Wild Roots came about.
Sorry, I can do that. Squirrel.
Oh, no, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
We want to talk about all the things, so
great.
It's all good.
Cool.
We have 2 thrift stores.
Okay, so in Colorado, I actually was about to open up a pet supply shop, and my brother and my sister-in-law moved out west.
You say those we don't want used.
Right.
Yeah, we want new stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is the deal. I'm kind of good at eyeing up, seeing things in towns that Like, for example, when I moved to Hawaii, you had to go all the way to the other side of the island to get your dog food. There was nothing on the west side. And then a good friend had opened up they opened up a west side pet supply, and it was really successful out of the gate. And it was great because it was a convenience for everybody on the west side. Well, then I moved to Colorado and I realized, wow, everybody's traveling all the way over by, Frisco, and have to go to Breck for their dog food at that time. And so that's kind of when the dream started of, opening up my own. Mm-hmm. And then my brother moved out west, and that's when he said, what about if we partner together and start picking? And at that time we were buying storage lockers, and we had only one little space, and it was really fun. And then 4 months into it, they sadly moved back to Wausome here, and I locked myself in my office and cried my brains out. And because it was really scary, I didn't think I could do it by myself. It was number one, so much work. I mean, we had bought a trailer, and I couldn't even back up a trailer at the time. I mean, I could back up a boat in a harbor, but I couldn't back up a trailer. So it took a lot of like, I can do this, and that's what I did. And so I kept it going, and then I expanded about a year later after he left, and which was really fun. The first time that they did come back, I got the good job, good job, little sister. I told you you could do it. So that made me feel really good.
You seem like you have a fear, but then you take a moment to acknowledge that fear, but then you jump in, you steer toward it.
Absolutely.
You don't steer away from it. Like, you're probably a little afraid of getting on a boat and being a boat person, but you went in, you dove in and did it.
It's the only way to live life, isn't it? I mean, if you own anything in this world, you own your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit.
There's a lot of people that don't do that, though.
My mom taught me, and maybe I have some old crazy hippie parents that raised me, but my mom always, I'm so blessed because she always said that what's the worst thing that can happen? You hate it, you're going to come home, or you're going to go somewhere else, but you're going to learn and you're going to grow, and it's going to open you up to all sorts of things that maybe you wouldn't even have thought of. So every place I've ever traveled to, every place I ever moved to, I was super scared, but I always had that in the back of my head, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? So it doesn't work, but I'm going to spin it into the good, and I'm going to learn something, or I'm going to meet somebody, and that could spin me in a whole nother direction, and that's so cool.
The fear of failure really holds people back. It sounds like you early on just didn't have, you didn't, or you may have had that fear, but it wasn't enough to hold you back.
Define failure, though. I mean, fear. I mean, it can be interpreted all sorts of ways. I look at every failure as a success, and even if I fear it and I fail, I'm like, well, I might not know the lesson today, but maybe 10 years from now I'll know.
I mean, sometimes not even thinking in terms of failure, like success and failure, just trying things, and if it doesn't work, either you learn and you redo it, or you do something different, or it doesn't have to be like I don't know. I think a lot of people get stuck on that. I've had moments in my life where I got stuck on the fear of failure, and I think learning to accept failure and think of it not even in terms of failure, but thinking of it in terms of lessons, learning, feedback.
Absolutely. Well, and we kind of set ourselves up too, because we put so much expectations on ourselves to, conquer and achieve, and it's okay to like take moments and figure things out, even when you don't know. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, I think some of it might have to do with upbringing. If you have, my parents are very kind of by the book, and they tended to be really very pragmatic, maybe overly pragmatic sometimes. Okay. And I struggled with that because I always had that in the back of my mind when I did things. And I found that when moving out for me was a big deal. I think it gave me the space to really be myself, and I realized I'm not that way. Like, I'm okay. I have to do things my own way, even if that's not the easy way, or that's not like the most well-worn path.
Okay.
And I think that's how I'm doing the things I'm doing now. Yeah, so I think it's differently. It depends on how, what your background is, really.
Well, and then there's my parents. They were divorced, and my mom was like, "Go touch, feel, see, conquer, find your passions, your inspirations. Don't go to school right away. You can always go and be you and fly your own freak flag. Don't follow everybody else's rules." I think so many people try to conform to like society and all these rules. I believe this. I believe there is no shoulds and shouldn'ts in life. I believe there's right and wrong. I believe what right and wrong is. Most people do. But we shouldn't beat ourselves up like, oh, we should be here, we should be there, because you know what? We're exactly where we're supposed to be right at this moment. And if we're supposed to be somewhere else, I don't know. I really believe it. I have a lot of faith, and I believe in laws of attraction. And I believe like you put it out there, you will gravitate towards it. I really do. I've kind of always lived my life like that. And then you feel it in your belly. Like me, I'm really intuitive. My stomach tells me everything. I can meet somebody and look somebody in the eye and know immediately if they have good intentions or not. Weirdly, I don't know why, but I feel people. Maybe I'm an empath. I don't know what that is, but
so that's why we're buddies.
I guess so, because I love you. I liked you from the minute I met you, Brennan.
Nice.
You're just, and then we went to school together. Sorry, I keep hitting the table and hitting all this stuff. I talk a lot with my hands.
Well, that's funny. Going back to what you were saying about not going to school right away. I dropped out when I was 19 or 20. Like I went for a couple of years, and I clearly wasn't ready. It wasn't the place where I was supposed to be. And I think I pushed on. I think I figured that out pretty early, but I think I pushed on because it was what I was supposed to do. Right. And when I dropped out, I said, well, I can always go back later. And I don't know how many people tell me you're not going to go back. Yeah. They're just like that. Once if you drop out now, you're not going to go back.
I hate that. Why do people do that? It's
100%.
so,
It's people
so
get
wrong.
That. People hear it repeated, and they get those ideas in their head, and they think that's other people said that, so that's.
And that stops people from living. I mean, that just that alone. I mean, people, we're everything we fear too. In essence, it's something we're taught from our parents, or don't do that because, they had a bad experience with it or something. And so, I don't know. Interesting. Yeah.
Well, so you're in Colorado.
Skiing,
running a thrift store.
So then I'm in Colorado. Life was great. Skiing every day, not every day. I skied a lot and lived on a ranch, on a horse ranch. Muck stalls every morning, shop opened at 11. Life was amazing. I would still be there today. It was amazing. And sadly, my father, my real father, my parents are divorced, but my real father is on a transplant list and is sick. And I was making emergency visits home here. Sometimes I was jumping on a plane once a week, sometimes a couple times, once every other week. I was literally spending a fortune coming and driving and flying and just trying to figure this out, because when you need a new liver, and it's not from drinking, my dad's 100% sober, he needs a new liver from hepatitis C, because my dad and I are very much alike in the ways that we don't really, it's not that we don't like Western medicine, we just believe that if we can help take something, more naturally, we're gonna explore those.
Well, my friend Steven owns Family Natural Foods in Wisconsin Rapids. He's been in his family for 3 generations, and he should pay me for that spot, by the way.
He's coming for you.
Coming for you, Steven. Yeah. He put it away a certain way that I've always liked, because I feel the same way. He said it's about taking responsibility for your health first.
That's right.
So you got to take that responsibility and do the things that will help you.
Yep.
And you should treat Western medicine as sort of like the backup.
Absolutely.
That's the way I operate.
Absolutely, because our bodies too are designed to heal themselves if we try to do everything right. And that we'll talk about that. Why I open Wild Roots and but back to my dad. That's why I moved here, is to help my dad. His hepatitis C had full on going to cirrhosis, and anybody that knows anything about liver, your liver controls your brain. And so he deals with, it's called hepatic encephalopathy. And basically what that is the toxins and whatnot, and ammonia levels and whatnot affect his brain. And it's so when he's bad, it's like dealing with somebody like with dementia. And so they're really confused. So in his case, he was constantly checking himself out of the hospital, and it was just really scary. And he was over by Madison. His transplant's going to be out of Madison, but he wasn't sick enough yet to get his transplant, which is so crazy. Like you have to, you can get a kidney pretty easy, but a new liver, it's crazy. In fact, I wanted to give him part of my liver, and about a couple years ago, I flew to the UW to see about doing a live living donor transplant, and they take 60% of my liver, give that to my dad, leave me with 40%, and it was explained at that time that about 4 donors need to step up to the plate, because even though you have the same blood type, even though I'm super healthy, even though I think I'm this amazing candidate and I'm the one, this golden child, really you have an artery that goes through your liver and it can be split or it can't, and there's a lot of risk for live living transplants for the liver. And his doctor explained that a lot of times the patient will move up several floors, the recipient, and then the donor, sometimes their own liver won't rejuvenate. And so anyway, long story short, again, with that said, once he heard about all the risks involved, he immediately took that off the table, which was extremely frustrating. Because I want to help my dad. I don't want to see him sick. And
he didn't want you to take that risk.
Right.
Through his daughter.
Right. And what I've learned with dealing with people with encephalopathy is, if you can rally around that person with proper nutrition, with proper hydration, with helping them with their medication, because, and I'm so sorry, Dad, that I'm talking on the live about you, but I don't think he would care, because I'm hopefully educating or helping somebody, but I mean, just for him to cognitively feel normal, he needs to drink, it's called lactulose, which is, we call it his poop syrup, in essence. So you have to he has to shed waste anywhere from 3 to 10 times a day to just be normal in his brain. And so living in Colorado, trying to get him to do these things, it was really difficult. And we came to a place where either he was needing to go into a home or I was gonna move, and I wasn't gonna put my dad in a home. And so anyway, that's why I'm here.
So you're
We made the haul. That's my whole story.
Well, that's
all 20 years.
Yeah, that's the story up until we got where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
And so I will say, I will preface this next section by saying that if I were to look at you on the street, I would say that's a woman that probably owns a health store.
Well, my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Right.
It's a compliment. Well, you know what? This is in life. Most people are, you try to find your own solutions, right? To your own problems. I mean, that's the goal. And that was my goal. I had a lot of health issues too. And I needed to kind of tweak a whole lot in my life to feel better. And that's boom, Wild Roots Apothecary. That's how this started.
Before we even get to Wild Roots, you seem like a very fit person.
I very much, I don't work out, I walk.
You don't work out?
Well, I shouldn't say that. My whole life I've worked out. But I don't go to a gym. No, I don't believe in you have to spend money to go to work out that way. But I should take that back. I've managed gyms, like for a career, like in college. I used to manage gyms, and that was fun.
You're
but
just doing activities.
Not my thing.
You're like surfing or
absolutely, hands down. Outdoor. I mean, my favorite thing to do is I would pick up a log with a friend and, curl the log once, hand it to my friend, be like, okay, now do it twice. And then I'll give it to me, I'll do it 3. And now give it to you, I'll give it to you 4. And, make it a game.
But you don't work out.
No, but we would free dive down to the ocean floor and grab a rock and run as hard as we could to, to pure exhaustion and drop that rock and float back up.
So it's almost like you don't work out, you play.
That's it.
You just play hard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think people get stuck on. I don't think adults want to play.
I agree.
It's
sad.
It is very sad.
That's horrible.
You know, I went to, they had this like free soccer session that one of my friends started, who they actually had on the podcast before. Gerald Mortensen. He was like, his kids were in soccer, so he was kind of coaching soccer.
Recently you had him.
Oh, it was a while ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thinking of someone else. Okay.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. And he started this. It was like supposed to be like everyone, like adults, kids, whatever. Just like whoever shows up will try to do a soccer thing. And I went to like 3 or 4 of them. The first time there were like a couple other adults, and then slowly it just became a kids thing. And then I felt kind of stupid, like I'm playing soccer with a bunch of kids. Like, so then it was like I guess I'm more of a coach now, or like I'm more of like the adult helper. And I was like, what? I'd see parents like drop their kids off. I'm like, free exercise right here.
Yeah.
Come play soccer. Why can't you? I just don't understand why adults have such a thing about like.
It's their ego, I think, too. Like they feel awkward. I don't know. There was one time in Hawaii. It was really a powerful moment, and I would swim open water a lot. I would actually swim from Hula Grill to Black Rock and then jog back. That was my form of exercise if I were to do anything. And bike. I like to bike, run, and swim. That prior to all my surgeries. So now I walk. So
you're basically doing triathlons, but you're like, I don't work out.
Yeah, basically. But yeah.
You just didn't see it that way.
Right.
You didn't see it as like, oh, I have to get my sweat on. You're just like, I want to go over there, run. I want to go over there in the ocean, swim.
I have done triathlons. And
did you?
Yeah, I did the King's Trail Triathlon in Maui. It was my very first one. I backed out of it for 3 years in a row because of my swimming. I was so nervous.
I hate the swimming in a triathlon.
Right. Well,
that's the reason I won't do it.
It's so many people. There's 500 people in my heap, and it's really intimidating. And I have asthma, and I could never really hold my stroke. I was doing it wrong, I guess, my whole technique. And so for 3 years I backed out, and then finally one summer I got frustrated in myself and said, I'm not going to back out. And I went down to the public pool, and I hired myself a little swim coach, and I took like, I don't even know, 6 lessons or something, and I figured it out. And next thing you know, I did my open mile swim in 32 minutes.
How far is that?
It's a 1 mile. 1 mile. Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
I was impressed. In fact, my friends that we'd all were doing this together, I beat them all, which I was pretty, I don't mean to be like, I beat them all, but I was really like,
that's awesome.
From being really fearful and scared.
I tried swimming at the triathlon group, and it was like, they were way fitter. Swimming's really hard.
It is.
It's a good exercise. Like even when I'm like in a fit from other things, if I go try to swim, it's like, I get like 2 laps. I'm like,
If you're doing it right, though, it doesn't have to. Yeah, you don't have to exert yourself. It's all about gliding.
Yeah, they were trying to teach me technique, and I wasn't really getting it. I was starting to. I would have needed more practice. I think.
Get yourself a swim coach. Mm-hmm. Take a couple lessons.
You could just not swim. That works too.
Or not swim.
There's other stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, like I was doing lately. I was doing like I was making up these duathlons, so I would just find like a place to go run. So then I would bike there, and then run, and then bike back.
Awesome.
And, it's like, that was fun.
Yeah.
It's a little challenge for myself.
Yeah, now get some friends to do it with you. Race them.
Yeah, I don't really like to organize events that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I'd rather just make up my own thing and go do it and be done with it. Why pay like $40 to go get a T-shirt I don't need because I have a closet full of T-shirts. This one, from, I think I did this one year. That might have been when I was on the team. We had a little team going where we were doing. I would do the biking part, and one of the other people would do the run, and the other person would do the swim.
Sure. That
was great because then I could just go hammer on the bike and be done.
I've done a couple sprints in Wisconsin when I would be here on vacation throughout the years, and the sprints were really difficult in the lakes because you can't see, and I was so used to swimming in open ocean and training, and then all of a sudden I did one out at Rapids, Wisconsin Rapids, through the Y. And it was really intimidating. And it was just a little sprint. But I had, weeds tickling my stomach. I was like, what is that? I can't see. And
I don't like the swim part of that.
Yeah.
I enjoy swimming, but I don't want to swim with other people splashing at me.
Yeah.
Forget that. So tell me about what gave you the idea for Wild Roots. You're back in Wisconsin now. This is about, what, a year ago about?
Yep. Yeah. So I had no idea what I was wanting to do. I actually was pretty tortured by figuring it out. And I give all the credit to my brother, really. He had come over and told me that he knew of a shop that was going to be, it's up for sale, and we should buy it, he said. And we just started spinning ideas, and I wanted the wellness, and he loved the tea and oils, and that's kind of how that started. And
that was this place?
Yep. And
sometimes people go through multiple places, so I want to make sure that.
No, we bought the unit. It was a mess. I mean, it had green walls, shag carpet. In fact, right behind me where I make all the magic happen back here, that was a completely enclosed. It was an office. Right. It was, fluorescent lighting. It was pretty rough. Yeah. But we're just the family to demolish and
jump in and.
Right. I mean, I'm very blessed in my life. I have a husband and a brother that both do this for a living. So I have cheap labor.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, didn't this place used to trip you out when you were a kid? Like, do you remember the Western villages?
Yes.
Well, Bruisers, but even when you were a kid, like, so you grew up, like, you're around my age, so you grew up watching like Westerns and stuff on TV. Didn't you come here? Didn't you come here and think like, oh, this is part of the Old West? Like, I'm back there.
So cool.
Like, I didn't understand that. No, it's just storefronts that are made to look like the Old West. Like, I thought, oh, this must have been where the Old West was.
I remember that feeling. And it was really neat when Jason told me where the shop was located. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming from Colorado. Like, this is so familiar anyway. I mean,
so is there a lot of buildings that haven't been to Colorado?
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of buildings that have that
downtown Breck. This is all Breckenridge.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't see this very much in Wisconsin.
No, it's super charming. That's why I wanted it. The price was right too, and but it was just so charming, and I saw the potential, and so we bought it, and then we started in on it and made it our own.
And you had done like a thrift store before and pet supplies and stuff,
right?
What
I sold those.
Yeah. What this time made you gravitate toward health and wellness and stuff like that instead of the other things?
Because there was nowhere for me to eat in this town. And there was nowhere for me to go for my stuff. I've been juicing my whole life, and
so there was a little bit of culture shock coming back.
Absolutely, I was sad. I went to the grocery store, and I'm so sorry, Wisconsin. Like in Wausome, I love my community, but when you live some of the places like Hawaii, where the fish and the seafood and the produce is just wow.
Yeah, right.
The grocery stores are just, and even in Colorado you have your Whole Foods and natural grocers, and there's way more organic than anything else. And here it was sad. I remember asking the produce gentleman about lettuce. I was like, when do you get new lettuce? And he said, this is new. And I was like, what? Like, I was sad at first until I found my sources. So
you created the business that you wanted to see. You wanted to go to.
Yep. I started with, I wanted to touch on the kind of the 7 dimensions of wellness in a weird way. Really, this is it. I wanted to make people feel better. I know that nutrition is everything, and I know that your body, it's our temple, and we don't have to be stuck. We don't have to be feeling the way we feel. Like with every passing minute of the day, we can change it all. The only guarantee we have out of life is that everything changes. So why be stuck? If you don't like it, fix it. And that's, so my own health issues growing up here. I went to Rothschild Elementary School, and being a severe asthmatic, they warehouse or paper mill at that time, they were letting out tons of CO2, sulfur dioxide, in lethal doses. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, I remember the smell from that place. Because I didn't live. I went to Weston Elementary, so I lived kind of by. Well, it's Pick and Save now, but it used to be 29 Super back in the day.
Right.
But we used to deliver, we used to do this family paper route, and our route was in Rothschild.
Yeah.
So anytime I would deliver, it was a really particular smell that it had.
Can I show you something? If I stand up, okay, I'll be right back because it's right behind you. And
sure.
I'm going to show you something.
So now you're in the other.
This is why. I don't know if you can see this.
You can, you can actually.
This is why I'm Wild Roots Apothecary. When I was sick, I was on so much medication that I couldn't go outside for recess. I had to be in classrooms without windows. The teachers called me their human canary. In fact, teachers would come in and pick up my hands, and depending on how blue my nail beds would be and how blue my lips would be, would determine if they'd let the whole school go out for recess.
Oh, wow.
And that's what this whole article is. So I was in Washington, front page of Washington Post. I was in Science Magazine. I was in National Wildlife Magazine. I was on TV on Earth Day.
Wow.
And then this is Western medicine. They just keep giving you more steroids, more medicine. Here's more. And then you have all these side effects like IBS and all these other things that come from taking all these steroids. And then they give you more medicine to help with that. And anyway, this is why I want, I try to eat an inflammation-free diet, and I want to just not have dairy. And I mean, I do eat dairy, don't get me wrong. I'm not a saint. I love pizza and I love a lot of things, but I try to.
Well, I was gonna say, oh man, you could never have ice cream, but I gotta say the stuff you have here, is like I would even venture to say a better version of ice cream.
Way better. Yes.
Acai. Am I saying that right?
Acai.
Acai.
Yeah.
I always get that wrong.
Acai. Yep.
I couldn't say quinoa for the longest time too.
That's hard.
But acai, your acai bowls are if I had a choice, if you were gonna have ice cream on one hand and acai bowl on the other hand from here, I would grab your acai bowl 10 times out of 10.
Well, and acai is a super berry from Brazil, loaded with antioxidants. So that's my goal, is I just really want to inundate people with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. I want to teach people that they can eat like this all the time, and it still tastes good, and they can feed their children these things. It's sad sometimes when families come in and I try to, always rattle people out of their element a little bit. And I say, just trust me, I promise they're going to love it. All kids love this. And, and I'm sticking a whole bunch of things like kale and spinach and other super greens and aloe vera and chlorophyll and, vitamin C crystals. I'm doing a lot. But their parents will say, oh, they don't like kale and spinach. And I'll say, well, they don't like it because you're teaching them they don't like it. So anyway, that's...
I hated vegetables when I was a kid because my parents would always buy those canned ones.
Oh.
They're so horrible with all those gross preservatives they put in.
Yeah, they are.
I didn't really start liking vegetables until I started buying them fresh. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. These can actually taste good.
You can do them all sorts of different ways. You can, for example, some of my favorite is cauliflower and broccoli, and you can broil it, sprinkle some cayenne pepper and honey over it. Get it a little wet, broil it really quick. It's like a crunchy, sweet and sour treat. It's so good. And that cayenne pepper speeds up your metabolism too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of, what is your supplement or health routine look like on a daily basis? What kind of things do you take?
Okay. Every single day I wake up and I try to drink at least 2 glasses of water right out of bed. They say that if you can put some lemon in it for, detoxifying your liver, that would be really great. I don't drink, so I don't need so much that, but I do try to hydrate immediately. And then 7 days a week, rain, shine, blizzard, it does not matter. I walk. I have 3 dogs. I walk. It's not so much for vanity, it's for my head. It's you know, I need it. I'm super high anxiety. I have a lot always, I'm feeling, and so I need to get that out. And a great way release for me is just walking and with my dogs, and then they get exercise too, and that's just what we do. And then I come back and I either have tea or coffee, and then I always have egg whites every single morning. My husband makes me egg whites. I'm really blessed, and that's just because I want egg whites. I go back and forth between a lot of things, but I always like the protein immediately, and then I'm here.
Do you worry about not getting the nutrients from the yolk?
No, well, now I have chickens, so I just now have new chicks. So I will eat my own yolks because farm eggs, you know, they have they say anywhere between 3 to 4 times the omega-3s in the yolk. I'll eat probably more of my yolks, more.
You just don't want the ones from the factory farm.
Yeah. Exactly.
My
industry chicken.
Yeah, we're kind of lucky. The guy who used to run the coffee shop downstairs from us comes in. He does I don't know how many people he goes to, but he'll send out a text message saying who wants eggs, and you know I'll usually take a dozen.
Yeah.
It's like $2.50.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I think it's his sister has a bunch of chickens out in the country somewhere, so.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'll hook you up. Yeah. My chicks aren't near ready. They're going to be moving into their coop.
I think I saw a picture of them on Facebook. They look so cute.
Yeah, they're so cute. I have them all named.
Present.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's all I wanted. Yeah. So I have 4 black ones, 4 white ones, and 2 beige ones.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. It's weird being 41. I don't feel, I mean, not that 40 is old by any means, because it's not, but I don't know. Like when you're young.
You look fit like a 21-year-old.
Thanks, Brian. But you know when you're young.
I don't think I do, but I think I'm probably in better shape than I was like when I was in high school or in my 20s.
I need to see your yearbook picture now. You have to show me. I need to connect. Isn't it wild? Everybody looks so different.
Oh, I know. I used to wonder, like, why don't I ever run into people from high school? And then it dawned on me that
you do.
I started thinking, well, what if I am and I'm just not recognizing them? So I have my own home gym now, so I don't go to a gym anymore. But it was, once I bought my house, I started buying some Olympic weight set for my basement, so I can just do it down there.
Good.
But before that, I was going to the Greenhead field house, and I kept running into this guy, and I would look at him and I think, is that Phil? That looks like Phil. And then I would start walking over by him, and then I get closer and be like, oh, that's not him. That's someone different. Like, just kind of looked like him from the distance. It happened like 2 or 3 times. Finally, one day I'm like doing some workout, and he comes up to me. He goes, hey, did we go to high school together? And I said, are you Phil? And like, yeah, it was him.
Oh my
totally was him.
And
I didn't recognize him. So the funny story is, I actually had thrown up on him in first grade.
Oh my gosh, you did not.
Western Elementary. I used to have this thing. I think I was lactose intolerant, or like if I drank. It took a while for my parents and everyone to figure out, because you know this was the 80s and milk was like the superfood, right? Like if you were in Wisconsin, you had to drink milk.
Yeah.
And I think every time I would drink milk, I would throw it up. So we were like standing in line, and I just like turned it.
Oh my gosh! Of course, you remembered all that.
I don't know
No.
I don't know if he did. If he did, he didn't bring it up.
That's fairly polite and nice.
Yeah.
Because I remember everybody that's ever thrown up on me.
Really?
Yes. One time in the 3rd grade, Jamie and we spent like 3 hours doing our hair and makeup, and you know, we were so excited to go chase boys, and we just got to the fair. We went on the pirate ship, and it was our first ride. And the guy behind us threw up, and it landed all in my hair, and I had to go home. And I was so mad because, you know, I spent all that time getting ready, and it was ruined. And
3 hours.
So gross. When you're a girl, I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah, right.
You have to be, every piece of strand of hair has to be perfect.
Yeah, I wonder what I would spend 3 hours doing. I think about that sometimes.
Oh boy.
I'm pretty speedy. I do cut my own hair though.
You do a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying a new style, so I'm working out the bugs, but
I've always been really.
I like the way it looks from this way, but I don't like the front on yet.
I like it.
Because I usually pull it forward and up, and now I've been going kind of slicking back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like still kind of like, it kind of like sticks out a little bit instead of back, but you know.
It looks good.
Well, I want to talk more about your health routine. So we got as far as the egg whites, but I want to.
Oh boy. Okay.
I think it's like instructive.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in that.
Then
stuff.
I come to work. I work a lot. Not because I have to, but because I really like to. I really love to create and throw myself hardcore into everything I do. And plus I have anxiety, so it helps me to stay busy. Yeah. So I come to work and it's interesting here. I know a lot about certain things. I don't claim to know everything. You know, I'm not a doctor. I know what I know and what I've studied, and I studied nutrition in school, and I know the things that I know, but I'm always looking to learn, and I'm learning from the community, and I'm asking the community to talk with me. And
what did you think about what you learned about nutrition in school?
It's nothing like it should be.
I thought you might say that.
It's all wrong. Well, like for example, like us, for women, we need at least 80 grams of protein a day. That ends up being 6 portions of meat the size of your fist. Well, we don't ever, you know, it's hard. We sell ourselves short. And so many people don't know that you can get protein out of a plant. I mean, plant-based protein. You don't have to just eat meat. There's a lot of other ways.
That's true.
And I want to apologize that it's so hot in here. We closed, and I think my employee shut off the AC because it is really rather warm. So I'm sorry.
I'm pretty good, but
okay, good. Yeah, it just wanted to.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so egg whites.
Yep. So all day long I'm whipping up smoothies and I'm making bowls. So I'm notorious at having the leftovers from any blender. Anything. My favorites like our complete body smoothie. Yeah. You know, so we tend to over pour. You know, and so there's always a little bit left over. So I find that really all day long I'm just ODing myself with extra juice and things that won't fit in the bottle. I'll drink it. I'll take it.
Now, if you were at home, would you just be making smoothie bowls?
And
acai bowls all day?
Yeah. So in Hawaii, I live right behind 180 acres of pineapple field. So this was my breakfast. I did this 7 days a week. I would either go pick a pineapple or a papaya. I would take out my, the seeds and inside. I would fill that papaya with fruits, everything that I would have, raspberries, blueberries, and then I put a little bit of granola. I do like a little bit of yogurt, so I'll do Greek yogurt from time to time, and I put some of that in there, and I call that my papaya boat. So I really like that. I feel the best when I eat clean. I've suffered with a lot of health problems with my asthma and IBS and my guts. I've had ulcers from, I had a total disc replacement in my back. They went through my stomach in 2008, or 2 years ago, 2018, and removed L4, L5. I was, from doing so much running and sports, I was leaking a lot of spinal fluid, and so I was taking a lot of ibuprofen just to kind of get through the night because I was suffering so much. And so anyway, which was horrible. And that's what led me into CBD. I carry, CBD here, which that's why, because I needed, in life, your own struggles, you want to find your solutions. And so what do I do if I can't take ibuprofen? What do I take naturally? And not that I always went straight for ibuprofen, but I really, it was my go-to. It really helped me. But then I had a stomach bleed from it, and so I couldn't take that. And so then I just felt, I was just so frustrated. And I found that if I tried to eat an inflammation-free diet, if I tried to, I don't drink alcohol, I try to do everything right, and then I feel right.
Yeah. In
all ways.
Yeah, right is an interesting word, because there's like so much debate even now in the nutritional world about what's what's healthy or what has what impact.
Right.
You know, it was interesting. I was listening, and we were talking about kombucha. I was actually listening to a podcast, one of my favorite health podcasts, Stronger by Science, and they had a gut biology expert on, and she was saying like most of the benefits actually come from prebiotics. So like getting fiber, that's the big stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and actually, so there's actually no clinical evidence that kombucha has like a huge impact on you yet.
Right.
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
The literature isn't out there yet.
Well, but it raises your good bacteria in your gut.
Tastes good though.
And by raising your good bacteria in your gut, it lowers your bad bacteria. So absolutely. I love kombucha.
I do too. I make it.
The first time I made it, you know, it's kind of an interesting process for anybody that doesn't, who's never made it. I'll tell you a little bit about it. How I made it is I love to brew black tea. I always I pick it like usually in Assam tea, and then you have your SCOBY, your live culture.
Yeah, I've done green and black, and honestly I can't tell the difference with the end result.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I always flavor it.
Right. What do you use? I put orange peel and ginger.
I've done a lot of orange. I'll just take like orange. I'll just buy like orange juice. Because I'll do like a second stage and I have Grolsch bottles. So then I add the orange when I put it in the second stage so that it ferments. It uses the sugars out of the orange juice to ferment again.
Works.
I've done like pomegranate and I've done whatever I can find a little juice from.
Yum. And then you cover it with a cheesecloth.
Yep.
And then you put it in a dark corner, and you just forget about it, basically. Yeah. And then you go in every couple of days, and it grows like a human lung. It is really interesting.
It is. It's really interesting.
And my husband said, "And you want me to drink that?" And so, but it's wonderful for you.
It seems weird at first, but it's, you know, you get used to it. I like a lot of fermented foods. Like.
Do you?
Yeah. I make sauerkraut. I haven't made it in a little while, but I'll make my own sauerkraut. That one's tricky. It's tricky to keep the mold off of it. Yeah. You gotta kind of get it just right. Otherwise, natto, which is fermented soybeans, it's a Japanese dish. I used to get that from the Korean restaurant when I lived in Stevens Point. They didn't sell it there, but she would. I think I saw a packet out one day, and I was like, "Oh, do you guys sell natto?" And she's like, "Oh no, but do you like it?" I was like, "Yeah, well, you know, natto's kind of an acquired taste. You know, most Japanese people love it, and most Americans when they try it for the first time are like, it takes a little getting used to, but I got used to it, and once I got used to it, I kind of liked it.
Okay.
So she would actually pick me up an extra pack because she would get it when they would go to Chicago to place orders and get things for the restaurant. You know, she would always get a whole bunch, so she would pick me up an extra one to.
Fine.
Yeah.
Are they still there?
Yeah, they are.
You should go get some.
I should go get some.
Bring some by.
No, you know, it's funny. Like when I was in Mexico, one of the gals that was on my yoga trip, she was from Mexico, from Puebla. And I remember she we would go on lunch and I'd be like, tacos. And she would just go into a little tienda and go get a pepper. And she would just eat the pepper. And that was her lunch. And I was like, I would never even have thought to do that.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that?
Yeah, it is.
It's just funny how
neat,
I have
the culture.
I have this perception that I have to you
right.
know, it has to be a taco. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
And I didn't join her. I kept eating tacos because tacos are awesome.
Awesome. I love tacos.
But yeah, she would bring her pepper, or you know, she would just do stuff like that. She would just buy like a whole fruit or a whole pepper or whatever.
So do you cook if you were to make yourself a meal at night? What do you?
Oh yeah.
What do you make? What do you like?
I do a lot of chicken and veggies and rice.
Yeah, good.
I make rice bowls a lot.
Do you have a rice cooker?
I do.
Yeah, they're the best. I don't know how people can live without them, right?
Oh man, they're great. You know, I just got this little Black & Decker one.
They're the best.
I had these Japanese friends in college, and I was like, "Where did you get that rice?" They just had this tiny little rice cooker.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Where'd you get that?" They're like, "Oh, we got it at Kmart. It was only $17." So that was 10, 15 years ago. It's still kicking.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
They're the best. Rice is a staple in my life. I probably have rice 4 days a week.
Oh, cool.
I love jasmine rice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we, I don't want to say homesteaders because that's a little bit of I can't say that, but we don't buy meat. We try not to buy meat. So every year, this last year, my husband and I both went to Alaska. We go to Kitchikoff Island, we take a little seaplane. It's about if you were to take a ferry, it's like 7 hours from Juneau. It's a bush town. There's no cars. There's about 50 people that live there. Take a little seaplane, and we catch about 100 pounds of halibut, rockfish, salmon, and cod each. So this year last August, we were really successful.
This is where I got Alaska from.
Okay.
Do you remember when I was like, oh, and you lived in Alaska? And you're like, I never lived in Alaska. That's where I got Alaska. Because you do this thing.
The fish. Yeah, we go, it's a huge part of our life. We live off of this fish every year. Yep. So we bring back, this year, last year we were really successful. We had 108 pounds each we brought back, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
And then my husband gets an elk every year, and then
nice.
a mule deer.
Nice.
Yeah. So we live off that and rice and veggies. That's kind of my. And then when I want to be bad, I'm not gonna lie, I love Arby's.
Really?
I do. Sometimes, I really love Arby's.
We all gotta have like that.
There's something.
Yeah, the guilty pleasure.
We're human, right?
Yeah.
Curly fries, man, they're pretty good.
Breaking news on the podcast: Jessica loves Arby's.
It's true. Yeah, it's a little hidden treat.
Health guru or
I
is
know.
she?
I know.
Who's the real Jessica?
That's the truth. I know, I'm in the drive-thru, I'm looking around like nobody recognizes me. No, I'm very much open and honest. I'm human. I love pizza. I just feel like crap when I eat it. So I suffer.
You get the feedback right away.
From not feeling good?
If you eat something bad, do you feel it
immediately.
right away?
Immediately.
I can get away with I found that if I do one bad meal or a bad thing, usually I'm fine. But if I do it twice in a row, then I start feeling the reckoning, so to speak. Yeah.
How do you sleep even?
Really?
I mean, you get gassy and stuff, if you don't eat like that. Or for example, I was telling you before we started this, today I did the farmer's market, which was so much fun. Well, once you know it, there was banana bread to the right of me and some cookies down the way, and it looked delicious. So I wanted to sample their banana bread and some other their sweet treats, and I don't eat dairy very often because I do have an allergy to it, and but I get rather phlegmy. So things like that. So I eat it, but then I'll be clearing my throat forever. But who cares, right? We got to be human too every now and again.
I've eaten way better since the whole COVID thing started, and when working from home, it's like I control my food environment way better. So
good for you. You're probably the only person who did.
It seems to be, which surprises me. I'm like, wow. I'm good as long as I can go to the grocery store and not buy bad stuff. But if I go to the office and someone brought donuts, it's very hard for me to not. Oh, they're right there. I can just have them. I'm gonna eat them.
Yeah.
And then I feel like garbage later on.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not even that good. A lot of times they're not. I think they're gonna be better than they are.
Right.
And then you eat them and you're like, oh, why did I eat that? It's not even that good.
That's why I like my bowls so much. The cold bowls. I kind of wanted to be like the healthy ice cream place in town, but
yeah, it is.
But have it be that refreshing, but yet super good for you.
So are people getting the idea? Are they understanding that this is healthy ice cream?
Yeah.
Basically, are they getting that?
I have to explain it over and over, but
Yeah.
They're getting it. Yeah. I basically just, I want people to know that I just want them to feel better. And I ask for their trust a lot. Even, because people don't know. Some of the things I'm using, some of these different algae, they taste horrible maybe by themselves, but if you mix them with, some pineapple juice or a little of this, a little of that, it can mask it and be pretty good. So it's kind of fun to work with people and get them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I get this green powder from Target that I added.
Matcha. Oh.
And if I don't, it's like an antioxidant blend.
Matcha, green tea.
Oh well, it's It's not. It has some. I think it has some green tea in.
It's matcha.
Yeah.
Look at your bag.
Oh no, it's
powder.
There's more stuff than matcha, but
okay.
Yeah.
Listen to me. It's matcha.
I have matcha too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You said green tea powder. Green, my friend. Right away.
Oh yeah.
I went. Oh, it's like matcha.
Yeah, my friend has funny stories because my friend Steven like sells matcha and like.
Okay.
You know, both him and I like we're both been to Japan several times and we know.
Yeah.
We know all
crazy.
about how to make matcha, but everyone's like, how do you put it in the tea bag? I'm like, no tea bag.
Yeah.
You just blend it. It's made to go. I went in the hotels in Japan. They had little packets. And we just stuck them in. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. It's crazy. What about the airport there? Everybody's smoking, all the smoking rooms.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was weird. Like
wasn't that weird?
The first time I went to Japan was right when I think the state banned smoking in public places. It was like a couple of years. It was like a couple, 2-3 years after that. And then it was weird. I like walked into a McDonald's and it was like people were smoking and I was like, oh, this is so strange.
So I was there in 2000. So maybe like towards the end of 2000. So they were wide open smoking. I mean, it was everywhere. Like but the airports just were like these rooms. I just remember like these glass rooms like everywhere of just like, wow. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Japan, they love American women too. I was approached a few times there.
Really?
Yeah. I won't talk about it.
That surprises me because most Japanese people seem so shy.
Well,
but then get them drunk and that's another story.
Yeah.
I have a really funny story about my friend Takumi. Takumi was the first person I ever met in Japan. Or met from Japan, and he's also probably the weirdest. Well, one night we had gone to this club to see a show, and we were on our way back, and Takumi sees these drunk college kids coming towards us. So he says, "Brian, I am from Taiwan and don't speak Japanese, but you do." I was like, "What?" So these kids come up, and he's pretending he's from Taiwan. So I'm telling them in Japanese. That my friend, I'm like, oh, watashi no tomodachi da Taiwan jin desu, and they're like, oh, and then he's saying he knows a little bit of Japanese, and he's pointing at everything they have and saying yabai, and so yabai is like bad, but it's like bad like Michael Jackson bad, but also bad like bad. Sure. So it's like there's like a double entendre where he's basically telling him all their stuff sucks. Oh my god. And I'm just like. Just trying not to laugh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was he was something else. But
did you travel Indonesia at all when you were there?
No, I knew some people in college from Indonesia.
Yeah. I spent most of my time traveling through Indonesia.
I loved hanging out when I was an adult student. I hung out a lot with like the foreign exchange students because their parties were great. Their parties were always about like food. Sure. Like it was they were like giant like potlucks and everyone make all this really awesome like Japanese and Thai food and it was great. And
that's so their culture. I mean, here's poverty too. I mean, it's like for example, you know, you travel through like the Philippines or anywhere. They're so poor, but then you're staying in these homestays, but they're inviting you in to cook for you. But they don't have electricity. They don't have they don't even have food to feed themselves, but yet they're offering. They're very wonderful people.
Yeah, I stayed in homestays in Japan. Yeah, and then and then the college experience. That's how I met my friend Nino from Thailand. And sure. So when he went back, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be back. I'm probably not going to get a job right up for a while. So it's like if you wanted to come visit, that'd be a good time to visit." I was like, "Never been to Thailand, sure." So. He lived in Phuket. His family. Phuket is it's cool, man. It's amazing. Yeah, and then I really liked it.
I mean, the tsunami. Oh my gosh, I was there pre-tsunami. That was just devastating to see that. I mean, isn't it something? I mean, the same thing with Hurricane Katrina. I went down to the 9th Ward 4 years after. I was visiting some friends in New Orleans, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, you see the stuff on TV. It's one thing, but then when you're right there, it really affected me.
So where in Japan did you go?
I was in Tokyo City. So that was
Okay.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
So I was in Taiwan, Taipei, Tokyo City, and then I went into Indonesia.
Gotcha.
And then I traveled all of Indonesia. Well, not all of Indonesia because it's thousands of miles, but I went to like 9 islands. I went to Bali, Lombok, Nusa Dua, Komodo, Java, Sumatra. Yeah, that was interesting too. I've done a lot of traveling. I've been out through the Caribbean. I've been through Europe. I lived on a boat in Mexico. I lived on a 120-foot fed ship and lived. We fished the Bisbee tournament, which is the world's richest fishing tournament out of Cabo San Lucas. $1 million marlin.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had some fun. Costa Rica, I think my hardest travel experience was I was with all my girls friends, not all of them, but there was 5 of us, and we did an all-girl surf trip in Costa Rica. We did the whole Nicoya Peninsula, and it was a pretty rough trip. A guy had died right in front of us.
Oh my gosh.
And it was pretty traumatic, and our car got broken into. We got detained on the side of the road. Our passports were taken. It was really scary. It wasn't a very great trip for me. I had parts of the trip that was amazing, but it was rough.
Wow.
Yeah, really rough. Seeing that. So, not bad though. For all my traveling, that's really my only bad experience. I mean, I've had other things happen, but that was where I left like, oh, I can never come back here. Like that's how it felt. Like it was that like, ugh. Get me out of here now feeling. Yeah. But good surfing, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, so if someone is someone's sitting on their couch right now and they got a bag of Doritos in front of them and they're like they want to get healthy, they want to start doing things, what are like a few things you would start them off with? How would you do that?
Well, we humans always want to, number one, we want to like have it all right now, right? I mean, it took us a long time to, develop these habits, that we've developed, but habits can be broken and small changes lead to big changes. That's what I always say.
How do I do it in 10 minutes? That's what I want to know.
How do you do it in 10 minutes? Well, maybe take one snack away a day that you normally would reach for and replace it. Like set yourself up for success. Start talking to people that really, really care about this and maybe can help guide. That's the thing. People give up if they don't know. And it can be fun. You can have guidance. I all day long will put together shakes for people and send them out the door. This is how you do it at home. I want people to be able to learn how to make it. It's not a secret because I want them to do it in their own house. It's just small changes lead to big changes, and it's the willingness and the awareness. And then if you fall off the wagon, you can get right back on. It doesn't mean you have to I had a weekend of binge eating and now I'm going to continue eating like crap. You want to just get back on the wagon as soon as you can. And I
think it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier in the beginning of the podcast about failure and not really worrying about that. I say why worry about the wagon? Just do it.
Right. Just do it.
If you didn't do it today, do it tomorrow.
Yeah. There are no shoulds and shouldn'ts. Like, exactly.
That was one of the things I used to coach people on with like exercise. People like decided, they would get these like, I think they would kind of set themselves up for failure because they'd say like, oh, well, I have to do 3 days. I have to work out every day. Or I have to.
Exactly. Did you hear that? That's what everybody says.
And then if they miss a day, then they're like, oh, I got to make it up.
They're so hard on themselves.
And I always said like, 80-20 principle, right?
Yep.
Like, so, okay, you missed one day.
Yep.
So say you were going to work out 20 times in a month and you only work out 19. That's better than 0, right?
Exactly.
Because a lot of people, because otherwise those failures pile up and then they go, oh, well, I'm just not going to do anything.
And that's
what happens every time.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I've found with training people and my own, just my own health, that if you do something every single day, it becomes a habit. It doesn't become something like you have to do. So pretty soon, if you're telling yourself 7 days a week, I'm going to go for a walk, a 20-minute walk. If you're doing that every day, pretty soon you're just putting on your shoes and you're out the door. You're not even thinking you have to do it because it just becomes a habit. And that's kind of the goal, right? I mean, you just have to retrain ourselves because we're trainable. Yeah. We're old dogs, but we're trainable.
Yep.
I mean, old dogs can learn new tricks, you know? I really believe that.
Well, Jessica, can you believe we've been talking for an hour and a half?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was so scared to talk to you. Just to be put on the spot.
I told you to just forget about it and get into it.
I did.
Yeah.
I really did.
Mm-hmm.
So you're easy to talk to, Brian.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I had a lot of fun talking to you today.
I had a lot of fun talking with you too.
So if people want to follow Wild Roots, what's the are you on all the things?
That's right. Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok. You're doing TikTok?
No, I'm not doing TikTok. And actually Instagram I'm pretty new at.
Pretty new at Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm getting there. Facebook. Pay attention to Facebook. I'm constantly posting on Facebook about our juice specials. We're just about to embark on a big juice cleanse. We're doing a 1-day, a 5-day, or a 10-day. If you just have questions about health or anything, I want people to come in and ask questions. Even tea. I mean, people come in, they see my flag with coffee. You don't come in not just for coffee. Actually, if you come in for a coffee, I'm going to try to sell you something else, because coffee is my least favorite thing to make in here. But yeah, I'd love to see you. And I have smoked salts. We do a lot with, alderwood and bacon, and I have cooking oils and vinegars and soaps and spices. And but really my jam is the juicing, cold press juicing. I make my cold bowls and all my superfood shakes.
If you're gonna go out for ice cream, instead you should come to Wild Roots.
Give me a try.
And try one of the acai bowls.
Or mango madness, pina colada bowl, dragon fruit bowl.
I am not kidding. They're like eating a bowl of ice. They're as delicious as eating a bowl of ice cream, if not more.
Yeah, thank you.
No exaggeration, guys.
They're really good. And I put all sorts of stuff on top, like bee pollen to help with inflammation, and it's liver detoxifying, and hemp hearts because they have the most omega-3s and 6s, more so than a chia seed or flaxseed. I put raw rescue honey, coconut shreds. I make my own cashew butter. I put all that on top, which I sell in here. Yeah, and I'm open for suggestions. I want the community to talk to me. If there's something that they use on a regular basis or want, if I can do it, I will bring it in and I'll do it. And just because my menu's set doesn't mean that I can pretty much do anything. I mean, or I'll try. I'll try it. I'll probably take the first sip to see if it's good before I hand it to them. But I mean, I can really do anything. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jessica's super cool. Come say hi to her. She won't bite. Promise. Super cool. And so if you like the podcast today, make sure you subscribe and like our Facebook page on Keep It Wausome on Facebook. And thanks, Jessica, for being on today.
Thanks, Brian. I had so much fun. You're awesome. So
I make all my guests end it by saying keep it wausome. So keep it wausome, Jessica.
Keep it wausome, Brian.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.